So let's dive into the top 10 questions from our RIDA members. Let's do it in a rapid fire
let's
format.
set this up, Naren, and explain that, we did an event, a live event for our RIDA members a couple of weeks ago. And what we did was we submitted a request from all of our 1,200 members to submit questions for us to cover in a live event. And we got quite literally hundreds of questions. And we chose the 10 that we thought would be most relevant to the widest audience. And that's what we're going to talk about today in this podcast episode is the 10 most relevant questions asked by RIDA members about how to reduce insurance dependence successfully.
Absolutely. So there are 10 questions. I'm going to go through one by one, and let's just cover each one in a rapid fire format. First question, what is the length of time for your clients to transition from PPO practice to a fee-for-service practice? I believe the audience knew Gary has a coaching business and he helps people transition. So they wanted to know what is possible based on Gary's experience.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's a very, very important question as you're thinking about this. It's like, how long this is going to take? And in reality, it depends. It depends on how relationship driven your practice is currently, how much other marketing you have in place to replace the PPO plans as a source of new patients. It depends on how many plans you're contracted with. So lots of variables, but I'll kind of give you a timeline here. That even as you're listening to this podcast episode, this podcast episode is coming out in late February, that if you'll stay on it, you could be at the finish line by the end of this year, by December 31st, 2024. In other words, you could be completely fee for service, if that's your goal, or you could, maybe if you're choosing to keep a plan, maybe to be completely resigned from all the other plans except for one you choose to keep. Most of our clients go all the way to fee for service. So by the end of this year, now it's going to take some work on your part and your team members' part to do that. So it's going to take a little bit of effort to do that. Not that we'll guide it and we can direct you, but it's going to take a little bit of effort, but by the end of the year. If you wanted to go a little bit slower because you want to be a little bit more stepwise and make sure you dot the I and cross the T, then somewhere between 12 and 15 months. So by the second quarter, 2025, you would be at the finish line. And then we've had clients that are just ready to go really quick. If you're ready to go really quick, it can be a 6-month exercise. So if you kind of sort that out, anywhere from 6 months to 12 to 15 months, depending on all the different variables.
Yeah, I recommend they book a coaching strategy meeting if they really want to get this question answered, because like you said, it all depends, right? So it's very hard to give a generic answer that's going to work for everyone.
Yeah, and you can do that. Just go to thrivingdentist.com/CSM. That stands for coaching strategy meeting. And that would be a Zoom meeting with me, where my goal is to get to know your practice. And then with your permission, share a little bit about our coaching to see if that might be a good fit. But yeah, if you're ready to take some action, that'd be a great next step.
Thank you, Gary. Second question. Since so many dentists are leaving Delta Dental, do you think Delta might raise fees to keep dentists happy?
Well, that would seem logical, wouldn't it, Naren? If they're losing, and by the way, that is absolutely true. The Delta organizations all over the country, there's 38 of them. They're not 50 because some of the states they share, like New Hampshire and Vermont share a Delta processor. You would think that if they're losing dentists, they maybe have to be friendlier to dentists and maybe start coming up with better fee schedules. Sadly, that's not the truth. That's not what they're going to do. In fact, it's going the other way. Deltas are lowering fees in the face of double-digit inflation and loss of dental providers. They are actually lowering the fees they're paying you. Recently, Delta of California dropped their PPO fees, which were already abysmally low. They dropped them another 15%. So unfortunately, while you think that might be the case, that's not what we see happening at all.
Yeah, I think that's because it goes back to their business model, right? First, going back to the 60s, they haven't really raised your fees, even though they make a lot more today than they did, 40 years ago. So why? Because their interests are aligned with the executives who run those practices and the guys who get the big paychecks, not you, the dental practice owners. So
This wasn't Delta that I'm about to share, but recently another PPO plan in one of our client base. I'm in an interesting seat at the table as I get to see all this. They sent out this woohoo announcement. Hey, we're raising your fees, and it amounted to a $1 increase for a hygiene visit. $1. And they were making a big deal about like this was going to, completely change your economics. Well, that dollar does not even remotely cover the increased costs that you've incurred in this recessionary cycle we're in, including all the raises and higher wages that we're subjected to because of the inflationary climate. So that was a big nothing.
Right. Thank you, Gary. Question number 3. Based on your experience working with hundreds of practices, I have heard you say PPO patients cost at least 42% of production. How much does a Google SEO patient cost? And how much does a Google Ads patient cost?
Darren, I'm going to defer that to you as the marketing authority. I'm going to defer that to you. So what's your experience about how much a patient generated from SEO costs versus patient generated from pay-per-click?
Absolutely. So the patient generated from SEO can cost, I'll tell you what our fees is. Like we do everything for our clients and we help our clients dominate Google, which means rank for 100 or more keywords before the end of year 1. And our fee is $12.50 a month and it's all inclusive. We don't charge extra because we do extra work when we launch the site, none of that. It's all inclusive, $12.50 a month. So if you annualize it, that's 15,000. Now, I know you had shared a case study of one of your recent clients who was getting patients from PPO instead, where 80% of the patients came from PPO. They were spending $537,000.
Yeah, it was actually 85% of his practice for PPO patients and collected $1 million. But he was having to generate $1,537,000 in true fees to collect that $1 million. So I like to teach my clients to think of that the adjustments as a marketing expense. So this office was spending I'm using spending in air quotes, $537,000 a year in the form of the money they're handing the fat cats of the insurance company, instead of what could have been if they were a client of yours spending $15,000 a year. So $537,000 a year or $15,000, take your pick.
Absolutely. Now, the next question was Google Ads. Now, Google Ads typically cost 5 times more. And then over time, it can be 10 times more than SEO. Why is that? When a patient comes to Google Ads, they don't trust you. They know they clicked on an ad. So you need a lot more people to get the same benefit because of this trust issue. And why does the gap grow? Meaning, why does the gap grow from SEO is 1/5 the cost to 1/10 the cost or even lower? Because SEO, you're not paying more over time. You're paying the same amount, but your results get better because you're ranking better, etc. But with Google Ads, Google needs to make more money to make its shareholders happy. So your costs continue to go up. So on one hand, Google Ads gets more expensive. Like I know practice is spending $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year, versus SEO is a fraction of that.
My coaching clients, almost universally, the only expense they need to have in their marketing is organic SEO. At $15,000 a year. That meets all their new patient requirements. And that's if you factor that in compared to what you're paying now, that's a much better alternative.
Absolutely. Let me ask the next question. What are the secrets of getting low-cost SEO patients? Why do most practices fail at this and instead depend on PPO plans?
Well, Naren, this falls in your wheelhouse. Take this one.
Absolutely. Google made $224 billion from ads in 2022. That's the last fiscal year I have revenues for Google Ads for. Now think about it. That's more money than 150 countries' GDPs. So Google makes a killing from Google Ads. And the way they do that is they keep the number of people who get free traffic as small as possible. So no more than 5% of you will get 95% of the free traffic from SEO. Therefore, the other 95% is forced to give Google billions of dollars in ad money. So that's why it's so hard to rank for SEO. So the real question is, how do I get into the top 5%? There are 6 things Google cares about. I'm not going to get into it. If you really want to know more about this and specifically how are you doing in these 6 areas and how do you get into the top 5%, I recommend booking a marketing strategy meeting. It's ekwa.com/MSM, ekwa.com/MSM. And in that marketing strategy meeting, our team will spend 6 hours researching you. So they'll tell you in these 6 things, are you getting an A, B, C, each one of those 6. Also, they'll give you a game plan. So regardless of where you are, how do you get into the top 5%? Who's going to get 95% of the free traffic? I mean, I believe in unfair advantages. That's an unfair advantage because when your cost of getting a new patient is a fraction of everybody else's, you can now use that money to do other things. So what are those 6 things? NAP, name, address, phone number consistency. You have to look at every directory out there, and over time, make sure more and more of those directories have consistent name, consistent address, and consistent phone number. Again, you'll go into more detail during the marketing strategy meeting. Second, original content. Google loves original content. Even if more than 5% of the words are copied, Google will penalize you. You won't rank at all. So Google recommends 400 words minimum for every page. So, 380 words have to be written by a real human being who knows dentistry. And so we use a team of writers. That's what they specialize in. They live in different parts of the US. And that way we can comply with Google. Third, quality backlinks. What pages on your sites have links from other sites? And those sites, are they meeting Google's quality standards? So it's also a moving target because Google changes its rules all the time. Fourth, Google Eat. Google adds another layer of scrutiny for certain industries, healthcare being one of them. Why? If there's incorrect information that somebody follows and then causes some health issues, then Google doesn't want the negative publicity. So they have this special algorithm. I don't want to get into the details. It's like, it'll take me 30 minutes to explain this really well, called Google Eat. And so one of the things that Laila would do in the marketing strategy meeting is to make sure that you are doing really well on that. Google reviews. Of the 6 things, this is something you can work on. Try to get 10 or more Google reviews every single month. And I love if these reviews are what I call love letter reviews or paragraph reviews. Minimum 10 or more a month, love letter reviews every single month. Another one is Google Lighthouse score. So every page is given a score in 5 different areas, 0 to 100. In all 5 of those areas, if you're getting close to 100, again, you're getting an A for Google Lighthouse. And once you get 6 A's, you're going to be in the top 5%. So that's what we focus on. Like I said, our focus is to get our clients, getting 6 A's for every page. So therefore, they are, in the top 5% and get ranked for 100 or more keywords.